This is the most expensive word in a laundromat listing. Passive. Not because of what it says, because of what it hides. This time, I didn't review one laundromat. I read 52 of them. And 42 of them left out the exact same number. Not the revenue, not the rent, not even the cash flow. The one number that tells you whether passive is even true. By the end of this, you'll know what that number is, and you'll watch one honest seller accidentally tell you exactly what it's worth. Here's why I did this. We've spent 5 episodes taking laundromats apart one at a time. So this time, I didn't pick one. I pulled 69 laundromat listings. I threw out the dry cleaners, the franchises, the empty shells with no numbers. Strip those out and you're left with 52 real businesses. 52 listings. One simple question. When a seller calls a laundromat passive, do they prove it? Because nearly half of them are sold on that one promise. Absentee, semi-passive, hands-off, turnkey, minimal owner involvement. 23 of the 52 listings sell the dream right there in the headline. Buy this, barely work, collect the cash. And there's exactly one number that would prove it. How many hours a week the current owner actually works. That's it. Simple, verifiable. It decides everything. So picture the kind of person these listings are written for. Not anyone specific, just the type. Someone tired of their job with some savings, reading the word passive and starting to dream. That person doesn't need the price explained. They need to know one thing: how much of their life this actually costs. So how many of those 23 listings told them? Let me show you the whole board. 52 listings. What they disclosed. The asking price, 52 out of 52. Every single one, of course, that's what they want. Revenue, 2/3. It's a flattering number, so most show it. Now watch what happens. The rent is the single biggest cost in any laundromat. Half of them leave them blank. The lease length, fewer than half. And the owner's hours, the number that proves the word passive, 10. Out of 52. 80% of these listings never tell you how much you'd actually have to work. Look at the shape of that. The more a number actually matters to you, the buyer, the less likely they are to show it. They always show you what the business earns. They almost never show you what you'd have to become. Now put the two together. 23 listings sell passive. Of those 23, only 5 show you the owner's hours. 18 of them sell you a hands-off dream, with the one piece of proof deliberately left blank. The number that proves the promise is the number the promise can't survive. For what it's worth, owner hours is the number I check first. It's number 11 on a checklist I'll point you to at the end. But stay with me, because the next 4 listings are what show you why it matters. From the dream all the way to the truth. Start in Sacramento. The headline, Passive Income Growth Opportunity. Hands off. Absentee owned. Newer machines under warranty. $390,000 in equipment. So let's check the numbers behind the dream. The revenue, not shown. The cash flow, not shown. The owner's hours, not shown. And then, in capital letters, the listing says this: do not email asking for the past 2 to 3 years of tax returns, income statements, or P&L. Read that again. A passive income listing that tells you in advance not to ask for the proof. And buried near the bottom, one quiet line. If you assume the existing loan, right now, you'll be in the red. That's the dream. Maximum passive. Minimum proof. Now drive to Maryland. Because some sellers do the opposite. This one puts the whole thing right in the listing. Sales, $12,500 a month. Expenses, about $4,500. Owner pay, $5,000. Net business income, $3,000 a month. And then the line almost nobody writes. The owners are working 72 hours a week. One person 40, one person 32. Sit with that. Two people, 72 hours every week, to take home around $8,000 a month between them. That is not a passive asset. That is two jobs. And notice, this is the honest one. The moment a seller actually shows you the hours, the fantasy just evaporates, which tells you exactly why the other 42 don't show them. Now, Brooklyn, this is the one that gives the whole game away. The listing says, very low rent. Absentee owner nets $100,000 to $125,000 a year. And then, in the same breath, part-time working owner nets $170,000 a year. Stop. They just printed the answer. Hands off, $110,000 give or take. Working it part-time, $170,000. Subtract the difference. Up to $60,000 a year isn't profit from the business. It's the wage of the owner's hands. It's what your labor earns, sitting inside a number they're calling income. That's the real price of the word passive. Up to 60 grand a year, either in money you leave on the table or in hours you didn't know you were signing up for. This listing showed you the gap by accident. The other 42, just leave it blank and hope you don't do the subtraction. And then there's a seller in Santa Cruz, retiring, tired, and done pretending. I'm gonna read you what they actually wrote in their own listing. This is not the passive income it is promised to be by TikTokers. The laundromat needs to be touched 2 to 3 times a week. And then this. We had a buyer circling, but he disappeared when he found out it's not as passive as promised. There it is, said out loud from inside the marketplace. The buyer didn't walk because the business was bad. He walked because the truth was different from the word. One seller said it plainly. 42 others just stayed quiet. So here's what this actually means for you, because the word changes everything. If the owner truly works 0 hours, fine. That's an investment. If it's 10 to 15 hours a week, that's not passive. That's a part-time job you bought. If it's 30, 50, 70 hours, that's a full-time job, and you paid $500,000 for the privilege of working it. And here's the part that should stop you cold. When a listing shows you a fat cash flow number, but the owner is secretly working 60 hours a week for free, that's not profit. That's unpaid labor, dressed up as passive income. So what's the verdict on 52 laundromats? It's not, they're all traps. They're not. Some of these are real, honest businesses. The verdict isn't on the businesses. It's on the listings. Because here's the mechanism. Passive isn't a description. It's a sales tactic. A single word, standing exactly where a number should be. Let me give the market a score for it. On the one number that proves the passive claim, owner hours. The laundromat market discloses it 19% of the time on average. A disclosure score of 19 out of 100 on the number that matters most. The business might be real, but the dream is working overtime. Verdict: disclosure trap. So here's the one thing to take from all 52. From now on, when a listing says passive, or absentee, or hands off, ask exactly one question before you believe a word of it. How many hours does the owner actually work? And if they don't tell you, well, they just did. Remember last time? The price isn't the trap. The silence is. And in these 52 listings, the silence was time. Owner hours is one number. There are 24 more that decide whether a deal is real, and I've put all of them into one checklist. The 25 number red flag checklist. It's free. Links in the description. And if you've seen a listing selling passive income that smells a little too clean, drop it in the comments. We'll open the books.